I don't work at that gas station anymore, but last week, my bank account was charged $4.10 from pump number 3. I've been working the night shift at a gas station off Highway 47 for almost a year now. It's one of those lonely stations you only notice when your tank is nearly empty and the next town is 20 miles away. One building, 4 pumps, a flickering sign that hums louder than the insects around it. Most nights are quiet. Truckers, drunk college kids, the occasional exhausted mom trying to keep her eyes open. After 1 a.m., it's usually dead. That's why I like it, or at least I used to. The night it happened, it was 3:17 a.m. I remember the exact time because I was staring at the clock, counting down the minutes until my break. The lights went out. Not a slow flicker, not a warning, just black. The kind of black that feels thick, heavy, like something pressing against your eyes. 2 seconds later, everything came back on. The soda fridge buzzed. The fluorescent lights flickered back to life. I laughed it off. Power glitches happen out here. Then I heard the pump, that steady mechanical clicking sound. I looked outside. No cars, no headlights on the road. But pump number 3's numbers were climbing. $1.24, $2.89, $4.10. Fuel was being dispensed. To nothing. I felt my stomach drop. I grabbed my jacket and stepped outside. The air was colder than it had any right to be in late July. The pump handle was lifted, hanging in midair as if someone invisible was holding it. The digital counter kept ticking up. I slowly reached out and placed the nozzle back into its holder. The numbers stopped instantly. Silence. I stood there for a full minute, scanning the empty highway. No engine sounds, no footsteps, nothing but wind. Electrical issue, I muttered to myself. I went back inside and locked the door. That's when I checked the security monitors. Camera 1, front entrance, empty. Camera 2, aisles, empty. Camera 3, pumps. I leaned closer. There was someone standing at pump number 3, tall, thin, wearing what looked like dark clothes, but the shape was wrong. Like the darkness around it was thicker than the rest of the night, and there was still no car. The figure was holding the nozzle, angled downward, as if filling a vehicle that wasn't there. My chest tightened. I looked up from the monitor and stared through the glass window toward pump number 3. Nothing, just empty concrete. I looked back at the screen. The figure was still there. Then it moved. Slowly, its head tilted toward the camera, toward me. I couldn't see its face clearly. It was like trying to focus on something in deep shadow. But I knew, somehow, I knew it was looking directly into the lens, directly at me. The store suddenly felt smaller, too small. Then the camera feed glitched, a burst of static. When the image returned, the pump was empty, the figure was gone. I exhaled shakily, and that's when I noticed camera 4, the one pointed at the counter, the one inside the store. The screen showed my back, and behind me, standing only a few feet away, was the same tall shape, its head bent at an unnatural angle, watching me. I couldn't breathe. Very slowly, I felt something behind me. A shift in the air, a drop in temperature. Then, a whisper, right next to my ear. "You're out of regular." The pumps outside suddenly turned on all at once. Every single one of them. Numbers climbing, handles lifting, fuel spilling onto empty pavement. I ran. I don't remember unlocking the door or getting to my car. I just remember driving, not stopping until I reached the next town. The station burned down 2 nights later. They said it was an electrical fire. I didn't argue. But here's the part I haven't told anyone. Last night, I got a charge on my bank account, $4.10, from that gas station. Pump number 3. I don't scare easily, but there's one motel off the highway I will never stop at again. I only stayed 1 night, and that was more than enough. I've been driving for almost 9 hours when I saw the sign. It wasn't a place you'd pick on purpose. It was the kind of roadside motel you end up at when your eyes start burning and every mile marker looks the same. Single story, exterior doors, faded numbers bolted beside each room, a neon sign buzzing faintly in the dark. The parking lot was half empty. I checked in just before midnight. The woman at the front desk barely looked up from the TV behind her. "One night," I said. She handed me a key without much interest. My room was on the far end of the building. The air smelled faintly of disinfectant and something older underneath it. Not dirty, just tired. The bedspread had that stiff motel texture. The air conditioner rattled every few minutes before settling down again. I locked the door. Then I checked it again. I don't know why I did that. Around 2:17 of mine, I woke up, not from a nightmare, not from a loud sound, just awake. At first, I thought it was the air conditioner kicking on, but this was different. It was coming from the room next to mine. Slow footsteps, back and forth, back and forth. Not hurried, not uneven, just steady pacing, like someone walking the length of the room over and over again. I checked my phone, 2:17 of mine. I told myself it was normal. These places have thin walls. Maybe someone couldn't sleep. The footsteps stopped. Then I heard something else. A slow dragging sound along the wall, like fingertips brushing across it, from one end to the other. I sat up in bed. The sound stopped immediately. Silence. Not the kind of silence you forget about, the kind that feels like it's waiting. I lay back down. A few minutes later, 3 knocks. Not on my door, on the wall beside my bed. 3 slow, evenly spaced taps. I didn't respond. I don't know why, but answering felt like participating. The silence stretched longer this time. Then I noticed something strange. There was light under my door. Not the yellow glow from the outdoor walkway. This was flickering, like a television lighting up a dark room, but I hadn't heard a car pull in. And when I glanced toward the window, the parking lot looked empty. The footsteps started again, slower now, closer to where my bed lined up with the shared wall. They stopped exactly there. I didn't feel vibration. I felt awareness. Then, gently, the doorknob to my room turned, just slightly, like someone testing it. The deadbolt held. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. After a few seconds, the knob eased back into place. The footsteps resumed, back and forth, back and forth. At some point, I must have fallen asleep, because when I opened my eyes again, sunlight was coming through the curtains. The parking lot looked normal. A pickup truck, a sedan, nothing unusual. Everything felt smaller in daylight, less threatening. I packed my things quickly and walked to the front desk. The same woman was there. I said, "You might want to check the room next to mine. The guy was up pacing all night." She frowned slightly. "Which room were you in?" I told her my number. She turned her monitor toward herself and typed for a moment. "That room beside you was vacant." I shook my head. "No, I heard him for hours." She looked at me strangely. "All the rooms on that side are odd numbered," she said. 7, 9, 11, then 13. Something tightened in my chest. "That's not possible," I said. She didn't answer, just stared at the screen. I walked back outside. I counted the doors. 7, 9, 11, 13. I stood in front of my door. The number bolted beside it didn't look new. The screws were old, rusted. There was no gap in the sequence, no space for another room. I didn't argue. I got in my car and left. I told myself I'd been exhausted, that I misread something, that thin walls and lack of sleep can play tricks on you. But there's one detail I can't explain. Last week, I was going through old receipts for taxes. I found the printed slip from that night. Room number listed at the top. The timestamp, 2:17 a mine. And beneath it, an additional charge. Adjacent occupancy fee. I don't know what that means, and I'm not going back to find out.
Please, I'm lost.
It was my voice, recorded. This happened last winter, during one of my overnight shifts. I woke as a park ranger in a restricted wilderness zone. Most nights are quiet. That night the storm came in fast. The kind that makes the forest feel different. About an hour into the storm, my radio clicked on. Then I heard a voice.
Please, I'm lost.
The voice was weak, barely audible through the static. I checked the signal location. It was coming from the old Firebreak Trail. That trail has been closed for years. I grabbed my rain gear, my headlamp, and stepped outside. I thought it was just another lost hiker. The Firebreak Trail hasn't been maintained in years. Most hikers don't even know it exists, and no one is supposed to be out there. I radioed back to dispatch. I told them I was heading toward the signal. That's when it came through again.
Please, I'm still here.
The voice sounded closer this time. I checked the signal coordinates again. They hadn't moved. It was coming from directly ahead. Then the radio went silent. No static, no signal. Just dead air. That's when I heard it. Not from the radio. From behind me.
Please, I'm lost.
It wasn't coming through static this time. It repeated the exact same way. Same tone, same pause. Like a recording. That's when I saw something. A small light. On the ground. It was one of ours. Same model, same frequency. But I hadn't dropped mine. Then the one on the ground clicked on. And I heard my own voice.
Please, I'm lost.
It was my voice, recorded. I dropped the radio, and that's when I heard it. Footsteps, not walking, running. It wasn't lost. It was bait, and I was exactly where someone wanted me. I ran, not back toward the device, back toward the trail. I could hear him. He wasn't crashing through the brush. He was keeping pace. At one point, I heard breathing right behind me. I slipped and hit the ground. For a second, everything went quiet. And then I saw him, standing there, watching. He didn't chase me again. He just stood there and let me leave. I never worked another night shift after that.